If you're looking for a small cap disruptive technology company that's generating 8-figure revenues and growing, then you're going to love this interview with PyroGenesis, a world leader in advanced plasma processes who's commercialized their technologies across multiple global industries, including plasma torches, 3D printing grade titanium powders, aluminum and zinc dross recovery, waste destruction systems, and defense applications. Notably, one high profile thing I like to talk about, PyroGenesis has been installed their plasma arc waste destruction system aboard U.S. Navy aircraft carriers, including the USS Gerald R and the USS John F. Kennedy. That's the most expensive real estate on the planet and the most stringent vetting environment in the world. So if you've got onto a U.S. Navy aircraft carrier, you know you're doing something right. And that shows up in the pudding. The proof's in the pudding. Revenues, full year 2023, 12.3 million. Full year 2024, 15.7 million. And gross profit also grew from 3.4 million to 5.3 million. The company's executing on multiple fronts. Here to talk about the company is Peter Pascali, CEO. Welcome back, Peter.
Hey, George. What an introduction. Thanks a million. It's
Hey,
been a
look,
while. It's good to see you. You're looking good.
Not since the Beatles breakup has there been a more anticipated reunion than you and I get back
Beatles
together for the
breakup.
Peter and
Oh
George.
my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, it's good. It's good to see you. It's good to see you.
Great to see you, my friend, and more importantly, great to see that the company's doing so well on so many fronts. Let's start with a bit of a big picture update, just big picture, and then we'll go into
Wow.
a couple of some specific verticals. Since you and I were last together a couple of years ago, what are the most important developments and milestones that PyroGenesis achieved? I know there are a lot of them, but what are the big ones?
I think from a 30,000-foot level, George, we've actually added, I think, significant revenue to our backlog. I can't remember when we last spoke, but probably our backlog was somewhere around in the $20 million range. Now we're hitting $55-60 million of signed contracts with really good clients. So I think that's quite the achievement because it speaks to our progressive growth, but also it speaks to our technology catching on. And we have no real debt. I mean, we have some debt, but it's with, I call it in friendly hands. Most of it's with me. We're not tariff proof, but we're not as exposed as a lot of other companies who have manufacturing facilities that they're committed to. Most of our business is coming from and prospects are coming from the Middle East and Europe, followed by Asia. We do have our military type contracts in the US, but they're a special breed. So we're not really affected by tariffs as a lot of people are. And we're lucky because I guess, as I said, we haven't committed to a manufacturing structure that would keep us dedicated to a particular geographic area. So all in all, George, things are doing really well. Excuse me. As you noted, our financials are improving, and 2020 this year looks like it's going to continue. So 2025 is going to continue, and it looks good.
And a lot of that, Peter, seems like it's really well spread out, or is it really concentrated? Is that growth coming from maybe one or two of the verticals that are more the lead horses, or is it kind of more evenly spread out?
It's even at any given time, there's one or two verticals that are more exciting than the others, but they're all moving forward relatively quickly and with some nice contracts underlying them. Most certainly.
Now, you're putting your money where your mouth is. Because you've done some significant financing. You're really close to some strategic financings. I want to talk about that. But what I also want to talk about that is you personally participated in the last round. And right what message that sends to your shareholders. So let's talk about the financing and why you got involved and what message that sends to everybody.
Yeah, so you want to touch upon that, George? So I'm always criticized for either investing or selling. I just can't win it. You can't win. So on the selling side, for a moment, let's talk about that because I wouldn't mind addressing that. Why do I sell some stock? When you look at what I sell, it's nothing. It's really nothing given what I own. I mean, if I sold at this rate, It'll take me 20, 30 years, 40 years to get rid of my position. So they say, why are you selling it? So I sell it. The overall strategic objective is so that nobody can clue into if I'm selling, whether an insider is selling, and therefore I take it as a signal, because I sell when it's going up, I sell when it's going down. And then what do I use it for? Sometimes to pay taxes, sometimes to invest in the company. But when you look at my personal holdings, George, that's key. People don't look at that. I've increased my number of shares personally that I own since I began selling by over $2 million. And over that same period of time, I've actually invested over $10 million into the company personally.
Wow.
Okay. So besides what I'm just doing now. So I don't think anybody should question my dedication to the company by that benchmark. With respect to this latest announcement of me funding the company, it's up to close to $5.5–6 million. I think 2.3 has already been funded by me. I think it's great for the company. I think this funding is actually phenomenal for the company. And why do I say that? In most of our other financings, people who raise their hand, maybe they're from the States, they want to participate. Maybe in Canada, they want to participate, or they want to, if there's no room, can they do another tranche? Nobody has put up their hand, George, and said, "Hey, can I be part of that?" So if nobody wants to be part of it, or even say, "Hey, Peter, I like it. I want to do can we do another tranche? Would you do $1 million at same terms and conditions?" Nobody stepped up. So I'm confident that the terms and conditions that I've given are very beneficial to the company. I've essentially, and what I essentially have done is taken, for the most part, the expense of doing it and pass it on to the company. I have no shares. I get no shares for it, but what I do get are some options. Okay, so it's an option to put more money into the company.
Yeah.
And at these rates, and get shares for it. So why am I doing it? I think it's a signal I'm doing. I'm pretty much transferring the expenses that I incurred to the company. And the benefit is I take the risk, but the benefit is those options where I have an opportunity to put more money in and get the shares. So
that's incredibly unique, by the way, Peter. If I could just chime in there for a second, that's incredibly unique, because if George does a placement, GeorgeCom Financial, I get shares and warrants.
I didn't get any shares. I didn't get shares. I just got
that's
an
phenomenal.
option.
That's putting your money where your mouth is.
So the only way I benefit is the shares go up from where they are today. Basically, why am I doing it, George? I mean, it's because I'm confident, and I want to make sure that the company has the financial, the finance and the cash to take advantage of various opportunities and continue going along without having to worry about the receivables coming in or something like this. I mean, we're at a really key point in our development where, according to the financials and according to our projections and our backlog, things seem to be going along quite nicely. We got a little bit of a shock when a company in Montreal went bankrupt. They sought creditor protection. What's the company's name? I think it's called VCR is the acronym we use. Totally out of the blue. I didn't hear about it. No, it was a total surprise to everybody. They were paying a couple of months ago, a couple of weeks ago, and then all of a sudden they don't pay. And that disturbed us because we actually had a payment due from them that particular week. Will they come back? I hope they do. God help them. Help them do it. But those are the type of things that are happening that I want to protect the company from, so we continue what we're doing and maintain our game plan. So this is a security that I'm providing the company. It helps with everything that's happening in the company. So, and I said, why do I do it? It's because I have confidence in what we're saying. I have a vision, and that's that. Yes, George, I'm investing my own money in the company. I don't know how many CEOs do that on the TSX or anywhere. I mean, I own enough shares anyways. I mean, it's not going to move the needle. It's not going to give me 49 to 51%, or it's not going to give me 20 to 21. It's going to move the needle by not much. So
and it speaks volumes. You've got the best bird's eye view of the company. where it's going, how your internal uh, tech development is going, all those things. So for you to
But
be
George,
putting your money
I
where
think
your
it's,
mouth is,
but
you're sending a
George,
strong signal of confidence
just
there.
because I'm doing it doesn't mean the company's not going to hit the wall. I'm not saying to promote the company or the stock or the vision, but you're asking me why am I doing it? I mean, I'm doing it because I have confidence. Does that mean a guarantee? Absolutely
No,
not.
no. Of
Absolutely
course not.
not.
No,
I
that,
made
that,
many mistakes along the way. This might be this might be one of them. So I'm just saying that as a cautionary note in case anybody thinks, "Oh my God, he's doing it. Let's go." No. You got to do your own due diligence. You got to figure out what other alternative investments you may have that might be better, and look at it from there. This is not promoting the stock at all, or I'm just giving you a background in terms of yes, I am investing in the company and why.
well, and you touched on you've got a vision, you've got confidence. So let's talk about that a little bit. You kind of talking about PyroGenesis being at a an inflection point here, or maybe a transition point potentially. How would you kind of describe your vision for where the company's going to be in the next 12 to 24 months? Can you do you have
Well,
a
it's all in
view
our
of that?
press. It's all in our press releases. George, as I said a few minutes ago, I think we're well positioned in terms of backlog. I think we're well positioned in terms of the type of companies we're dealing with. The companies that we're dealing with in different verticals, we may they're well financed. Their strategy with respect to plasma is well articulated. Their need is there. So we're teaming up not with somebody who just decided to get an early retirement package, put the money together, and then see what we can do with a plasma system. And no, they're sophisticated players, multi-billion-dollar companies. And when I say multi-billion-dollar companies, in my press releases, people ask me, why do you do that? Because I'm trying to give you a sense that they have the background, they have the engineering background, they have access to lots and lots and lots of data points that we don't have. And they review what we're doing and how we're doing it, and they see there may be a fit. So when I talk about billion-dollar companies, I'm talking about in terms of that type of confidence, because it also gives me confidence, right? I got a team of engineers. Maybe they don't know what the hell they're doing, but when a billion-dollar company says we're onto something, they want to pursue it, I start getting a good feeling. So our strategy has been very, step by step. Put a cornerstone, put another stone, build on the solid foundation. When you're making a mistake or something does, pull back a bit, rethink it, go forward. Not caring what happens to the stock price, not caring about what investors say or the naysayers say. Oh, he's changed. No, we're humans. We have a brain. We think things out. If we make a mistake, we back up and we redo it. And that's what we've been doing consistently, building. And here we are, a huge backlog that's increasing. Good clients that are just not one-off systems, George. When you look at our clients, they have a huge need once the technology proves out. So HPQ is a case in point. I mean, Bernard and HPQ quite well, and the subsidiary PAWDS and their Fumed Silica, which
Kind of
we
familiar
press
to me.
released recently. That's a case in point. Solid, step by step. Everybody would like to go faster, right? Everybody wants a quicker result. But it's just not the way the game is played. We try our best, and there's failures and delays and adaptations and rethinking, and you keep on proceeding. And to where we are, where the press release came out recently, some really nice press releases.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that in a second, but I want to add in my own 2 cents there for everyone watching or listening at home. I'll give you 3 names: NVIDIA, Tesla, Google. If you look at the growth that they've had over the last, 10, 15 years, it has not been linear, especially NVIDIA. NVIDIA is now the world darling in AI, but if you see the 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, 3 steps forward, 1 step back, they've gone through. Even Google, Google, the monster, had fallen way behind in AI. OpenAI and others had taken the lead over them in the AI, and then a couple of days ago they came out with their AI suite, and now it's they probably got the best model going in the world. So the reason I bring that up is when you said that the way you've been growing PyroGenesis is, you move forward, it doesn't all go as perfectly planned, so you take a step back, you rethink it, go another path.
George,
That's entirely normal of a technology growth company. There just is no company that does this. It just doesn't
George,
happen.
I'd suggest to you that the measure of a company and a CEO is not how they are when they're the darling. That's easy. That's easy. Just let everybody sit back and hug you and kiss you. It's how they manage the difficult situations, the curves, the things that happen that you would never have dreamt of would happen. You know, um, and that's the measure of a CEO. Not necessarily me, but a CEO and a company is how they manage that as a team. So when I talk about the CEO, I'm talking about his team, his leaders, his engineers, the people that are how they manage disappointment, how they manage disappointment oftentimes, how they manage that and succumb all those challenges and then prevail. And the names you mentioned have had their challenging days,
Yes.
and they try to adapt and manage. And my hats off to them. Congrats to them all.
Yeah, we'll look at NVIDIA that every time their chips move forward, they made these great moves forward with their processors. The U.S. government came out, put caps, and said you can't sell to foreign countries, so they had to readjust, replan. So you're 100% right on that.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk about HPQ. Now, this interview for us is reunited, all the PyroGenesis shareholders, re-engaging, recreate the conversation in the PyroGenesis forum on Agoracom. So we're keeping it 30,000 foot because this is the first one, and then we're going to start really cranking these out independently, looking
Yeah.
at
Sure.
independent. But I do want to talk about HPQ because you did bring it up a second ago and the fumed silica reactor. Um, you just had a fantastic you guys had a fantastic update today. Let's talk about a little bit of the relationship with HPQ and how you're seeing, especially the fumed silica side, move forward and your level
So
of satisfaction with that.
in all transparency, first of all, we've been dealing with HPQ for a long time. Um, we have a 10% royalty on the proper company HPQ proper on various revenues. We also have a 50% ownership option in their subsidiary called Polver, which is the company that we've been press releasing about recently with respect to fumed silica. And George, we also have shares that we've sold in the past. We get them, we buy them or exchange them for things, and then we sometimes sell them. So that's in all transparency our financial interest in it. It's not just a sale of equipment. So you're talking about fumed silica, and to those that are new to the story, fumed silica is in thousands of products. It's a thickener. It's in toothpaste. It's in milkshakes. It's in cat litter. It's in fiber optics. It's in inks, toner in photocopiers. It's even in instant coffee. It's all over the place. So the traditional way of making fumed silica is actually taking quartz, but they don't just feed quartz into a system. They have to actually mix it with something and make the feedstock. So that's one element, and it's done in somewhere, and then it's transported to the fumed silica process, the traditional one, not ours. And then it goes through multi-steps where they introduce hazardous materials, chemicals. It's long, it's lengthy, it's an energy hog, and that's how they make it. And they make money doing that. So we came up with a way to just basically take the quartz, put it through our furnace, for lack of a better word, and collect it.
Reactor.
Yeah, in a reactor, thank you, a reactor, and we collect it in what we call the backhouse or the recovery system. So our theory was we could do it in such a way that would reduce CapEx, reduce OpEx, reduce CO2, reduce the energy footprint, which is huge. I mean, that's a huge benefit, a theoretical benefit coming out of this. Get away with the hazardous chemicals and whatnot, and we don't need to generate a feedstock. We can just go from quartz. And theoretically, it looks like a home run, right? Theoretically. But there's many challenges. So we start off with a pilot scale to prove out our concepts, and then lab scale.
Wow,
And
yeah.
then, at Georgia, you go to a pilot scale. So the key, and I mentioned this before recently because I wanted to do a summary of it so people understood. From our perspective, the key, there's the probability to success could, becomes higher and higher the further along the chain you go. But the key was to get fumed silica made. That's one thing. But then to transport it to the baghouse in such a way that you could actually collect it. Okay. That was a key milestone. And obviously, once you collect it in the baghouse, check it out. Does it meet what you think it's going to be? Does it have the things in there you think it's going to have that you can get rid of? And according to what you're postulating before. Is there anything else that crept in that you don't know? Like, for instance, like, let's say something crept in. I'm going to make something up. Let's say gold.
Salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper. And it's going to cost you $1 billion to get this thing out. I mean, the economics aren't there, obviously, So you have to make sure that, first of all, you can actually get it through to the baghouse and it can collect it. And then that it's fumed silica and it is exactly how you expected it to be in this particular process. The concept has got a lot of attention in industry. In fact, a company, I would press release it, Evonik. It's one of the major special chemical companies that really liked this concept. I think they signed a letter of intent with PYRGF. Okay. That basically, if you can do it, if you can get it to the baghouse, which is a key step in all of this, then the letter of intent was to talk about, once that happens, next steps, because this is a huge milestone on the path to success. Having said that, I want to be clear, there are further steps that we have to prove out, but those seem to be more manageable than this first one. Okay, this first one, which is huge. And we press released the other day that we did manage to collect some white powder in the baghouse in a way that we could collect it and analyze it. So that was a bit of a success, but the real success comes in analyzing it. And I joked with Bernard. I said, Bernard, this white powder, it's either fumed silica.
We joked about it too.
It's either baby powder or it's cocaine. And I told them I can make money on two of the three if it's made economical. Obviously, cocaine is illegal, so I wouldn't make money on that. But I can make money on baby powder and fumed silica. And so we're very anxious, but we had to test it. Independent lab, we had to test it, and it came back. It came back that it's fumed silica, and it came back that it's exactly the way we expected it to be. There's no weird contaminants that we didn't expect. The things that are in there should be in there, and we can get them out, okay, easily. So far. So that's what's so exciting about this particular development. I mean, what we're going to do now is what PyroGenesis wants to do is, and HPQ is what we're going to do is take this and perfect it a tiny bit more and get to what I call Evonik's quality powder, because we're going to send it to Evonik and at the right time, and have them take a look at it, because that's what they want to do, and based on their review and confirmation of what we have, the expectation is that they then want to meet to talk about the next steps. So this is very exciting. This is very, very exciting. So even though there's risk beyond this, and going to the next step of building it up and getting the morphology better suited towards the industries that we're going to be targeting, it's been
this was the step that was.
This to me is a very exciting step. Okay, it's a very exciting step. I mean, you're always challenged, George. You're on a 100-kilometer race, right? You've done 95 kilometers, all right? You've done the line share. You should make it to the end line. The probability you're going to make it to the end line is better at 95 than it is at 5 kilometers. But you might not make it. You might get exhausted. You might trip. You might faint. You just might not make it that 5 kilometers. But the excitement when you get to that step is what we're experiencing. We got a lion's share of the risk in our mind behind us. We got it in the baghouse. It's Fumed Silica. So far, no surprises. Hats off to the team. Hats off to everybody that was pursuing it, because, again, this is one of the things that is challenging. It's not been a straight line. Pipes break, this happens, that happens. You're not getting quite the right result on the lab scale. Why? Oh, we had air coming in by accident. So you there's setbacks, and a lot of them are stupid things. You didn't check the valve, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. Things break. Oh my God, things broke, and we now have to order it again. It's going to take 3 weeks to come in. The whatever it is that broke. So you got to keep your head about you when everybody else is losing theirs, as they say, and keep on the path. And here you go. You end up with Fumed Silica in a baghouse. Who would have thought?
Like I said with Bernard, you're not ordering a pizza here. You're not throwing some dough and sauce into an oven and ding, 20 minutes later, take it out and there it is. This is serious work. Let me ask you one question, then we'll move on from it, because I'm sure we're gonna have a lot to talk about, fingers crossed, on the Fumed Silica side in the coming days and weeks and so on and so forth.
Yeah. We're really excited about it.
But just one big picture question for you. In the grand scheme of disruption, there's been disruptive technologies all the way through humankind. Maybe the most recent one for me, the big one, is what Apple did to the phone and what Apple did to music and things like that. The desktop computer, when before that you had these massive terminals in these rooms that were, how big is this disruption potentially if you get through the last 5 miles? I want to make sure everyone knows where, your analogy, you still got to get through the last 5 miles of the 100-mile race. But how potentially big is this disruption on
you're
relative
talking about
to
things
other
like telephones and things like that everybody uses every day, so it's disruptive. They notice it. This is key. I mean, it's a very expensive process they're going through. We found a way to make it cheaper, and it's the energy. This is not an energy hog, so there's lots of benefits here. So it's for the industry. It's a disruptive thing. I mean, how disruptive? Before we proved anything out, Evonik was interested because they understood the theory enough to know that we may be onto something, and they're a big company. They got better things to do than to, mess around with a small company up in Montreal. And we got their attention, and they said, "Listen, if you can get up to 95 kilometers and 100-kilometer, we might be interested in it a bit further." So it must be disruptive enough or good enough to get their attention. Now that we've actually gotten it to this particular level, we're also finding other players in the industry taking note, because until now they thought, who could do this? And Evonik is really the king of the kings. I mean, they're really the biggest in the industry. Then you have some others that are further down, but quite a low further down, taking note. So at least that's what I heard from Bernard recently. And you'd expect that. I mean, it's nothing not public. You'd expect that when you have a success that gets the attention of the main industry player, that others would also be interested as well. I mean, it just stands to reason.
Looking forward to revisiting that, because obviously you guys are going to be trying to cross the last 5 miles there, the last 5 kilometers. So we're going to, and at some point, I'm hoping when we really get right over that finish line, it's you, me, and Bernard on one of these doing a great three-way with a three-way interview with all the investors watching.
Yeah.
Last thing, and this also is going to warrant its own in-depth discussion in a future interview, but I want to also just get your opinion on, you've been making strides in electrification using plasma torches. First of all, what the hell does that mean for people who are watching, saying, what's a plasma torch and how are you electrifying,
Okay, so plasma torch and electrification. So a plasma torch is essentially a sexy hair dryer. We take a gas or air. We heat it up, it comes hot air. So basically, we have this torch that basically runs on electricity. Okay, so that's just a simple thing. Electrification of industry means essentially switching machines and processes from fossil fuels like oil, gas, coal to electricity. So in a factory is using a diesel burner. You switch it out with electrical burner, and so to make heat, and that's what electrifying industry means. And it's really in vogue because to lower greenhouse gases, get away from fossil fuels. You can understand why people would want to do this. I don't want to get into too many deals because you said this alone is one whole interview, but just to give you a taste of what's happening, we've had some significant success in that area. I'm just making sure. Yeah, we've press released that our torches have demonstrated 45% reduction in energy as compared to legacy diesel.
Wow, that's massive.
But this is the one that gets me excited. In certain situations, we have found that there's a 30% reduction in melting time, which speaks to productivity. Now, 30% of reduction in melting time. In those industries, they're looking for 0.5%, 0.25% benefits and changes. 30%, what does this mean? This means you can make your furnace smaller to get the same throughput, same productivity. But you have some industries like the aluminum industry where the one of the bottlenecks is the reactor. You have so much product feedstock you can put in, but you can't put it in fast enough. So can you imagine you can put in the same footprint, in the same facility, you can put in 30% more, get 30% more output because you're doing it in a 30%
Huge
reduction. It all goes to the bottom line. You have the same infrastructure, and now you're getting 30% more aluminum out of the same. So it's to me, this is phenomenal, which is why George, GE has announced, and we announced with them the fact that and Norsk Hydro as well, have press released over a year ago in Norsk Hydro's situation that they were looking at plasma as a way to electrify part of their facilities. And Norsk is not in North America, so they have relationships with other companies in Europe. They have access to all sorts of European grants. They chose us. GE, Norsk independently, and we're doing some other work with other companies. Hopefully that'll generate into something that's newsworthy. But we are really making waves. We're getting people excited. They're excited about doing something. This is where I said, we've been pushing and pushing and doing. And eventually, these big companies do their due diligence, and it takes time. I go down the hallway, I talk to someone, we get something signed, we go. I mean, these, there's committees and this and that, and we're changing the way they're looking. These are billion-dollar companies that have a strategy, and they're looking at other things, and they're changing their strategy. They don't do it overnight.
Oh yeah, well they got to measure. They got to measure 5 times and cut once. They're not going to. The old adage is measure twice, cut once. Yeah, they got to measure 5 times and cut once just to make sure they got it right.
They announced over a year ago, I think it was over a year ago, that they want to embrace plasma and figure out how to use it, but they're committed to plasma somehow. Let's figure out who to do it with. And they chose us almost over a year later. I mean, it takes time. So this is where perseverance, having confidence, knowing what you have in hand, and keep on going to the right players, not going to Mr. Schmo around the corner who decided to put together a bunch of some money and do something on the street corner. No, formidable players who you have to prove to them. You have to really take your time and prove to them. Maybe you get somebody who's less sophisticated, you can prove overnight, and no, you have to prove to them, you have to make the case, you have to have hard questions, you answer them to their satisfaction. And guess what? They're not just buying one torch. If this proves out, it's across the industry, not just them, across the industry where this will play out. Can you make as many? Can you do this thing? They've looked at that. They're not stupid. Okay, they're not stupid. They've looked at, if it's commercial, can Pyro, together with them, make it work? Of course, they've looked at it. Why would they, for some reason, let's say it was impossible to make it, well, why would they waste their time? All right, so very excited about this. This is one of those, business lines that you mentioned before that we've taken our time and it's starting to pan out. So when you tell me, what makes me interested or what makes me confident, I look at the players, I look at all these different things, I say, you know what? There's something here. There's something really seriously here.
Third-party validation. We've talked about that before. Like Agoracom can think it's got the best technology. PyroGenesis can think it's got the best technology. But the ultimate question is, who else outside of our organizations believes and will pay for it and use it? That's the ultimate validation. Otherwise,
and
how do you assess if your technology is any good?
And change where they're going or what they were thinking based on what you're offering them. To me, you know what, George? I mean, forget about the. It's not. I don't want investors here. It's not about the share. No, it's it makes you wake up in the morning. You wake up in the morning and having successfully won that bid through intellectual discussions and sophisticated back and forth. It's very satisfying. It's very satisfying knowing that the strategy that you've articulated is and the board has decided to implement is working. It's being accepted by those who are in the industry and know a lot more than you do. And here we are. So that's a lot's been happening. I mean, as we're talking, there's so much more I want to go into, but I want to make sure that we don't go too long and lose everybody.
Yeah, I don't think we're losing anybody. I think people love it, and they're probably wondering, okay, I want more. So, keep the Peter and George show going, and that's what we're gonna do because you're just one of those rare. Look, I've been doing this for 27 years. I've said before, you're just one of those rare companies that's commercializing across multiple verticals, across multiple global geographies at the end of the day. That's unbelievable.
And George, I got to caution, just because we're getting it right now doesn't mean somebody's going to come out of the blue with something better.
Of course.
Or we're going to succeed at the end of the day. But we're doing it, and we have multiple technologies, and I say this all the time, multiple distinct technologies. And what we've created is a multi-legged stool. So if one leg gets chopped off, we're still stable with the other ones. And that's an art, George. An art is to develop that multi-legged stool for stability and diversification without going too far afield and not sticking to your knitting in such a way that you become vulnerable because you've just gone too far afield. So we've done this. We've perfected it. We've de-risked ourselves. PyroGenesis is like a fund of plasma-based technologies, independent plasma-based technologies that have been vetted, are being vetted, and are moving forward with the intent of being, if successful, commercializing it with PyroGenesis. And so that's where we are, George. And it's so exciting talking about it. So exciting talking about it. I swear, it's really. I miss this, George. I really miss it. When I'm talking to you, I'm talking to everybody's out there who's an interested party, be it an investor, be it somebody who's in the industry and wants to write something, or even people who are interested in the technology as a client. I love talking to you because I'm speaking to them all at the same time.
Yeah, and Peter, trust me, they love hearing it. And the growing revenues on annual basis, the growing backlog in contracts on annual basis proves that you are not just talking the talk, but you're walking the walk. And this was a perfect look. It's 40 minutes and it feels like it's 20 minutes of talking because that's how great the conversation's been. Oof. Yeah, that's how great this conversation's been.
Went by like that. George, thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity, man. Really appreciate it.
No, man. Love having you back because, like I said, you're a rare gem. You're in the 99th 0.9 percentile of small cap companies I've seen in my lifetime. And your story is still unraveling. It's still to be told, and I'm honored to be part of the group along with your comms team
Our
that's helping
story
tell the
is
story to the
still our
world.
story is still developing, not unraveling, George. Unraveling has a whole different,
Well, no, it meant that in a good way. It's still unwinding,
Yeah,
it's
I know,
still
I
moving
know, I
forward.
know. Anyways,
But
George,
yeah,
thanks a
thanks.
million.
Yeah, great to do this again. And for everybody who's watching and listening, look, in between these videos, and we're going to start really accelerating the frequency of these now. Get to the PyroGenesis forum. Let's engage, ask the questions, give us your analysis, everything that we've done to grow this fantastic PyroGenesis community of shareholders, who
So,
are
George,
awesome people, by the way.
I've been on that platform. I mean, on the platform trying to respond to them all. I've been a little bit negligent recently, just over the top busy. I'll catch up over the next week or so and answer the questions that are out there. I already have answers, but I just haven't had time to post them. So, here we go. I'll get on top of it and post your questions there, gang. I'll try my best to answer them, always with public information, and keep it clean, and you'll be seen.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day for our American friends this weekend. Have a great Memorial Day long weekend. And for our Canadian friends, we hope you had a great Victoria Day long weekend. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. See you on the PyroGenesis forum. Talk to you then.
Hey, small cap fam. I hope you loved this interview because more than a dozen people were involved in its production for the sole purpose of making you happy. If so, can you take a moment to support both our awesome guest company and Agoracom? Your engagement means the world to us. First, if you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up by tapping that like button. It's a small gesture that helps this interview reach even more potential investors to discover today's guest. Second, we would love to hear your feedback on this interview, so please leave a comment below. Be sure to keep it clean, but feel free to poke fun at George. If you loved what you heard on today's video and want to dig into our guest company right away, take a look at the links in the description below. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell to never miss another great Agoracom small cap video. Thank you so much. We couldn't do any of this without you. Make sure to come back soon.